Hello, viewers. I'm Shivani. A very warm welcome to you all. How and when to use apostrophes? That's the topic for today. Those tiny, simple looking punctuation marks, the apostrophes, and tell you they are not at all simple. I've seen many people struggling with them. They are really tricky. When it comes to writing, they are really tricky. So today, let's try to remove our doubts. But before proceeding further, as always, I would like to request my new viewers to subscribe to my channel and press the bell icon so that you get updates of all the new videos that I upload. Thank you so much. So let's start with the lesson. Apostrophes. Where do we use them and when do we use them? Apostrophes have three uses. Number one, to form possessive nouns. Number two, in contractions, to form contractions. And number three, to form plurals. Plurals of numbers, plurals of symbols, and plurals of letters. Today we are going to discuss only the possessive cases. The other two uses I'll discuss separately in my separate videos. So let's get started. Today the use of the apostrophe that we are going to discuss is to show possession. For example, my friend's umbrella, my boss's car, my mother's handbag, the dog's collar, the cat's tail. What did you notice? An apostrophe plus s has been added to the noun to show that it owns something, to show ownership. My friend owns an umbrella. My boss's car, the car of the boss that he owns. My mother's handbag, my mother possesses that handbag. The dog's tail, the dog's collar, and the cat's tail. So they all own something or they all possess something. To show that, an apostrophe plus the letter S has been added to the noun that owns. Please remember, we don't use apostrophes with possessive pronouns. Of course, there are a few exceptions. For example, with indefinite pronouns, we do use apostrophes. For example, someone's bag, no one's mistake, nobody, somebody, no one, these are all indefinite pronouns. With them, we do use apostrophes. Otherwise, we don't use apostrophes to show possessive pronouns. Now, there are a few rules. If you remember them, you won't find it difficult at all. For example, whenever the noun is singular, we add an apostrophe to it followed by the letter S. The apostrophe is always placed before the letter S whenever the noun is singular. Not very difficult to remember. Like I said, my friend's umbrella. I was talking about one friend. My boss's car. My one boss. Similarly, my mother's handbag. So here I was talking about singular nouns. So I added an apostrophe to the noun followed by an S. That's a very easy thing to remember. Now, whenever the noun is plural, what do we do? The boys' school. Now, the boys, it's a plural noun. It already has an S with it. So we don't need to add another S. We simply put an apostrophe after the letter S. The boys' school. We don't have to add another S with the apostrophe. The girls' hostel. My friend's party. So these words already have an S. These nouns are plural nouns. They end with an S. So all we have to do is add an apostrophe after the letter S. Is that clear? So when the noun is singular, we add the apostrophe followed by the letter S. We put the apostrophe before the letter S. And when the noun is plural and ends with the letter S, we simply put an apostrophe after the letter S. Very simple, isn't it? What about the plural nouns that don't end with S? For example, men, women, children, etc. What do we do with them? Oh, nothing much. We treat them like singular nouns. That is, we add an apostrophe followed by the letter S. Exactly the way we treated the singular nouns. For example, the children's toys, the women's college, men's club. So we add an apostrophe followed by the letter S to the noun. So apostrophe is put before the letter S and added to the noun. Now what about the singular nouns that end with letter S? There are certain names that end with letter S. For example, Bess, Mr. Das. Now what do we do? It's up to us. We can either add just an apostrophe like we did in the case of the plural nouns, or we can add an apostrophe followed by the letter S. It's up to us. It's up to you. But be consistent. Decide what you are going to do. But while pronouncing, we are going to pronounce it as Mr. Das's house, Bess's car, right? While writing, we can choose either of the two. Simply add apostrophe to the name or add an apostrophe followed by the letter S. Now there are times when there are joint owners of an object. For example, Sunita and Ashok, they own a house. So how do we show the possessive in this case? Well, the house belongs to both of them. They are the joint owners. In this case, we are going to add the apostrophe to the second name, Sunita and Ashok's house, or Ashok and Sunita's house. So whichever name comes at the end, we add the apostrophe S to that name. So remember, whenever there are multiple owners, we add the S to the last name. Now when there are two owners, but they individually own something, Sunita and Ashok, they own two different houses. So how do we show that? What do we write? In this case, we write Sunita's and Ashok's houses. They don't own the same house. They have different houses. They are individual owners of those houses. So in this case, we are going to add apostrophe S to both the names. I hope that's clear. Please remember the possessive case is used with the names of the living things. For example, the children's toys, the cat's tail, or the dog's collar. But when it comes to non-living things, we rather use the word of. For example, the roof of the house, the legs of the table. But when the inanimate or the non-living thing is personified, in that case also we use the possessive case. For example, the nature's fury, at duty's call. The possessive is also used with the nouns denoting time. For example, a week's holiday, in a year's time. So that's all for today, viewers. I hope I've been able to remove your doubts regarding the use of apostrophe to show possession. So keep practicing. Bye-bye. See you soon.